All right, everybody, to the Career Connect for Resumes, Do's and Don'ts. I'm going to be your host. My name is John Korusek. I'm from the Office of Community Wealth Building. My email is down at the bottom. It's john.korusek@richmondgov.com. Go ahead and take this time to mute your lines. To unmute, if you're on the phone, you want to hit *6. And then if you are on the Microsoft Teams, you can click the unmute, go to your taskbar, hover over the mouse, hover over the screen, and you'll see where you have a microphone. You can unmute that. But please wait to do that at the very end. We will have questions and comments, so let's wait to the end to unmute our lines. This is taken from a larger presentation that I put together a long time ago, probably about 8 years ago, called Robot Resume to Beat the Automatic Tracking System. So we will take a look at writing resumes for a robot or the automatic tracking system, not writing a resume for a person. Robot resume to beat the ATS system, the do's and don'ts. As I said, my name is John Korusek. I have 10 years this month in workforce development. I have taught workshops on networking, robot resume, social media, emerging workforce strategies, and targeted recruitment. As of March 2018, I've had 275 company recruitment events in the South Side between the Southside Community Center and the Huguenot Community Center. So this is what we go through a lot. We take a look at this little strip here. It says, man, I need a job so bad. I'm willing to do anything, but the market is so bad and no one's hiring. Really? That place just down the street has a help wanted sign in the window. Yeah, but they'll want a resume and an application, and I'll have to do work. Folks, you got to do work to get work. You want to start with a blank slate. There are 3 types of resumes that we normally talk about, but before we get into that, I want you to think about your blank slate. I want you to get 3 to 5 job descriptions down per industry. And then I want you to take a look at those 3 to 5 job descriptions in that same industry, and I want you to get the keywords and key phrases from those job descriptions. There's a book called Knock 'em Dead that talks about this to use on your resume. You want to use 1 industry per resume. Your resume is really a calling card to get an interview. It's not a yard sale for all of your experience. Your resume is also a living, breathing document that will change with time and experience. The favorite resume for employers is the chronological resume. If you take a look at this resume, notice that the resume has a lot of white space. That's good for your eyes, where your eye can go down the resume and look at the different pieces of the resume, and you can tell of different experience for this particular person. Also notice that this resume is not loaded up with a bunch of bullet points. It carries your eye to a few bullet points with those particular jobs that the person has included on this resume. Your resume should have at least 1 industry and not more on your resume. Your jobs will not change, so you're going to include your jobs, but you want to focus on your industry or industries. And we're going to talk about that further along on this presentation. A functional resume can be viewed wrong by employers. I didn't say it was wrong to use it. I said it can be viewed wrong by employers, especially if you use it for more than 1 industry. Functional resume is more for just 1 industry, or if you're trying to get a job in 1 industry and you're focusing on several different jobs that you've had, putting that industry's keywords and key phrases into that speak so you can get that job. So for example, you can look at this resume and see this person is in management, and they're going to be able to use operations, they're going to be able to use project management, they're going to be able to use administration and administrative jobs stuff. But if you are looking at this resume and you want to use it because you've had a job in, let's say, an office field plus warehouse plus janitorial, that is not the time that you use this type of resume. You don't want the employer to think that you are all over the place. If you submit this resume with industries more than one and it's all over the place, that is what the employer is going to view you as. What kind of job are you trying to get? So unless you want to use it for one industry, unless you have multiple industries where you can match it to one job description, like on this example here. Then comes the hybrid resume. Now, the hybrid resume is a combination of the chronological resume and the functional resume. Once again, we're using one industry. Be careful not to look like you're all over the place, like I said. And you want to use any of these resumes creatively. Get with your career advisor to determine what resume is right for you. Now we're going to move on to the robot resume beat the automatic tracking system do's and don'ts. Now I just want to let you know, if you are a participant of ours, I'm going to share this information with the career advisors. They'll have a do's and don'ts sheet, and they'll also have the jobs that I'm sharing today for more information. And like I said, we will have questions towards the end of this presentation. So you do want to use your complete address with zip code so as the automatic tracking systems can rank you. You don't have to use the address, let's say, if you're sending it to me. If you don't trust me with your address or an employer, you can leave out your street address. You don't have to include that. But when you are submitting it on an online profile on the application process to an employer, you want to use the address. This is how the automatic tracking system not only ranks you, but it also looks to a place close to you or close to your home where they can put you into a job for that particular company. So you do want to use your address. Also, when you're using your address, don't bunch it together, because the automatic tracking system can't read your address when it's all jumbled up like this Joan job seekers information is here. You do want to use a professional summary. This helps incorporate a targeted heading with keywords and key phrases. This is a good opening to your resume. It targets your position for the company. These 3 to 4 sentences opens your resume book, so to speak. This professional summary also includes that important keywords and key phrases from those job descriptions or job description. And I also want you to notice here too, under the professional summary is, we're going to go into that in a few minutes, is a skill set. So look at that for an example as well, because we'll go over that in a few minutes. Don't use an objective unless you have 0 experience. And even then, I would still use a professional summary. What happens a lot here is one of the best ones I think I've seen is, I'm trying to get a job for myself to basically do well for myself and my family and to make some money. Now, everybody wants to do that. But you got to think about your resume in that blank sheet. That is prime realty at the top of your resume. So you don't want to waste it using an objective. You want to target your resume with the job description that you want to get by using those job descriptions and those keywords and key phrases. Like I said earlier about the skill set, you do want to use core competencies, skill sets, about 9 to 12 skills, to include keywords and key phrases from the resume or from your job description into your resume. A good example here is if you list a bullet point for each one of your jobs. I got customer service here, I got customer service here, I got customer service here. You can do a core competency or a skill set at the top and put customer service as one bullet. Another good example is if you have Microsoft Office or Microsoft Office Suite, you can utilize that as a bullet instead of listing it in each one of your jobs. I've done Microsoft Office and Microsoft Office and Microsoft Office. It's just easier to list it in a skill set or a core competency where you're only having to list it one time. You don't want to go overboard. This cartoon here says you don't have much experience, but I'm impressed by how you've blown it all out of proportion. Don't go overboard with your skills or your experience. Target using the job descriptions. And also remember, 3 bullet points per job should be the maximum that you use. 3 to 5, usually I would say 3, and sometimes not even that. I would probably slim it down to none if you can. Do use keywords from the job description or job descriptions. Make sure you're using all of the keywords from that job. For an example, like if you're trying to do warehouse work, they're going to know if you can run a pallet jack or a forklift, or if you know a scanner. Those are some keywords that you can utilize from the job descriptions. And he goes here, it says, if you could not stuff your resume full of keywords, that would be great. Don't use more than 3 of the same keyword throughout your resume or online profile. It will make you hit file 13, the HR trash can, and we don't want that to happen to you. You do want to use key phrases. You want to have an editor, not yourself. You want to depend on your career advisor or maybe 2 important people close to you to be able to help you to get words down in a consistent basis on your resume, like this phrase here, renewable energy. There's a good example there and a bad example. The bad example is just trying to use a bunch of words to fill up the white space on the resume. And also, it sounds a little bit better if you're using the good example. Get yourself an editor. Less is best. Also, don't be too common. You want to use keywords and key phrases to stand out. You don't want to be too common. What makes you or your job stand out is not just dumping trash if you're a janitor, but how you clean multiple rooms in like 15 minutes, or how you did that job more effectively than someone else. So you can stand out in that position for that position. You don't want to use the words work experience on your resume. If you know anything about Jimi Hendrix, as you saw earlier, I am a DJ. His album title is Are You Experienced? So right here, he's asking, but are you experienced? The automatic tracking system says they want to know the difference between your work experience on the resume and other fields. So you do want to use the words work experience when you're using those online profiles and putting it through the automatic tracking system. You don't want to lie. You want to be truthful. An employer will do a reference check. They'll do a background check. They'll do a drug check. They'll do other checks. So you want to be truthful. Don't talk about, I haven't been there that long when you have, or how you got laid off. Don't talk about neglecting your important duties. That's what the referee there is saying. Don't talk about incorrect salaries. The credit check will bring up what you made at certain companies. Notice when they call the reference check, all those things will be checked. So make sure you're truthful when you submit your resume. Also, you do want to use some recommended fonts. The thought here is, you're using all these funny fonts and you're using different font sizes where people can't read it. There's a lot of folks that have to put their glasses on and take a look at your resume. It might be the difference between you and someone else. You want to use size 12 font or higher. You want your resume to be scored high enough to be selected for an interview. That is your main goal for your resume, is your calling card to be selected for an interview. We're not just writing these things, for our health. We want to get that interview. Once you get that interview, if you're having that interview and you're messing up, then that's the reason why you're not getting the job. You might need interview help. So in a few days, I believe it's tomorrow, we have an interview session where you can learn more about that. You don't want to use too many different bold, italics, underline. This cartoon says your resume is certainly memorable, but you use a different font for every other word you wrote. So you don't want to use too many. You also want to spell check yourself before you wreck yourself. Like I said, have that editor. Not just spell check. Spell check will miss stuff. So you want to have a career advisor plus 2 other people that you admire to review your resume. Like I said, your career advisor and 2 other people you admire. I remember giving my resume to someone I admired, and I was pulling it back, having a tug of war with them because I really didn't want to give it to them because I knew that they were going to be truthful and I knew they were going to go through with a red pen. And I did that 2 or 3 times and redid my resume 2 or 3 times, and I got a resume down not just with spell check errors, but with other errors and other things that she had recommendations on. So you do want to have people that you can count on to edit besides your spell check on your computer. Spell check is not going to check everything. It's going to miss some things. Spelling errors. It says here you're a professional booger. That should be blogger. You don't want to have spelling errors, okay? This guy could get the job if he would have just spelt blogger correctly, or if he had that editor to look at it. They say Account Temp says that 1 to 4 typos in a resume is all it takes for a recruiter not to consider a candidate for a job. Don't have any spelling errors. This is a do, but it might confuse some people, but I'm putting it out there because some automatic tracking systems still use this plain text format where you upload it as you're saving it, the document, to this plain text format so the computer can read it. Some computer automatic tracking systems are now built to read other types like Word and PDF, but I put this here because some still aren't, and you might want to upload a plain text format so the computer can read it. If you find yourself uploading your resume and you're having to go through the online profile and fix a lot of things, it's probably because it needs the plain text format. So when you go to save, underneath the save button, there's going to be where you can change it from a Word document to another document. You can change it to the plain text and save it. Make sure you save your Word document first. Go back in and save it again as the plain text. This is going to confuse some people too, because a lot of people tell them PDF format. Like I said, some automatic tracking systems can't read it. If you're sending it to someone like myself or one of the business people or your career advisor, you can use PDF. However, they might want to make some adjustments, so you might want to use a Word document. If you're using a Word document, your Word is different than my Word. We might have different programs, so it might change it up. So that's why it's saying, in an automatic tracking system, not to use the PDF or the Word document. However, if you're sending it through an email, you can use those. So even though it says do not send it in a PDF format for the online profile, you could use that format to send it in an email. Also, this is a given, know when to capitalize, use capitalization. Another given is correct punctuation. If you're putting a period here, put a period there. If you're putting a question mark there, it's a question. Make sure you're putting a question mark for every question. This little thing here says, must you question everything? Why are you always yelling? So you do want to use the correct punctuation. So there's 3 in 4 of you that do not get selected for interviews because you're doing it wrong. This guy is not going to make that motorcycle. We want you to make the interview. With 100% or 100 applicants going through the screening process, 25 are selected to proceed, but only 1 to 4 are selected for interview. We want you to land that right interview, and we want you to have a good interview by phone, nowadays by Skype, by FaceTime. These things have been around long since this time that we're in right now, also in person. So we want you to land the right interview. Don't forget to utilize your technology. Start online. Take your time. Remember, garbage in equals garbage out. You want to put the correct things in so the correct things come out. Those correct things are you getting an interview. Write your resume for the right robot. Get it into the hands of the right people. Less is more, and get hired for that position. This guy says one does not simply submit a standard resume and get called up. And I'm sure you've seen this guy. I don't always submit my resume, but when I do, employers are begging me to work for them. Do we have any questions or comments out there? Just unmute your line, hitting *6, or going over the thing there to unmute your line on your computer. Any questions? No questions? Any questions? No?
Hey, John.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Boyd.
Hey, Boyd.
Um, yeah, I just I guess one of the things that is kind of in this presentation that you're referencing, is the resume. There's a resume for the machine, for the applicant tracking system, and then there's a resume that, like you said, is more appealing to the eye space. Can you talk just a little bit about that? Like, what would you recommend people do when they're about to apply for a job now? And remember that, like if they're working with, some of, our business team or working with other partners, they may also be connecting to a recruiter, you know. And so do you have any kind of strategy or recommendations on how they want to handle that?
Yeah, so a good thing to do is to kind of start with the job description, like I said, to take a look at that, get the help of your career advisor or the business person. Sometimes they will do one resume and think it's good enough,
Mm-hmm.
but they went for a janitor job and they're trying to use the janitor job for a warehouse worker, and they need to change that information at the top of the resume to a warehouse worker and include those same things. I don't know how many people, Boyd, that we've met that have said, well, that's on, I've had a job like that. I've had experience like that.
Right.
However, it's not on this resume. Well, if you're coming to a job that needs that information, it needs to be on your resume. I need to be able to see it as a recruiter or as a business person to submit your information to that recruiter so that you can get that position.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will do resumes and they'll do just general resumes, which is sometimes good because it'll include some of that information. The white space is important, but I think where you would start would be the job description and kind of narrowing it down there. Everybody's jobs are going to stay the same. It's just that probably that first third of the resume will
Mm-hmm.
kind of be beefed up a little bit by looking at job descriptions. And if you are somebody that's a janitor that does have warehouse experience, that does have office experience, you want to do 3 different resumes, one for a janitor, one for office, one for warehouse, where you can quickly give that to somebody
Right.
to have a job, or you guys could take a look at it and beef it up a little bit before it's given.
Right. So maybe a resume for your top 3, maybe kind
Top
of
3 would be
areas,
good, yeah.
and then maybe a resume that's ready to feed into the applicant tracking system, and one that ready to hand to a recruiter if that's how you might connect with them.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thanks, Boyd.
Yep. Good stuff.
Anybody else have any other questions? We're just going to, if not, we're going to move on, just share some jobs with you. And I know that might be why a lot of people are on this call, but I wanted to still give maybe another few minutes for questions. If anybody knows me like Boyd, this is not usually a time that I just go right through. Don't even stop for questions or a bathroom break or anything. So this is your time for questions. We'll have time at the end as well. I gave 2 times, Boyd, for questions. So
Right. That's why I was confused.
I know, right? I know. All right, we're going to move along, and I'm going to give some current open positions that we've been going through and verifying. So get ready to take a picture if you have your phone out. If you're not using it, I want you to be able to keep up to date with us here from Office of Community Wealth Building. And we want you to be able to sign up for the mobile texting. If you have your telephone out on the camera, you can scan that. It'll take you to the website. You can sign up for the mobile texting. If you get a mobile texting from us, it's going to come from the number 505-97. Make sure you look for that. It's not going to say OCWB, but it will contain information about these sessions and about jobs and about other pertinent information. So scan that and go to the website and sign up for the mobile texting through Office of Community Wealth Building. So steps to apply, you want to go to the company website, you want to complete their online profile, you want to complete the online application. If there's any assessment or survey, once that online profile or application or online assessment is 100% complete, then you want to contact your career advisor or your business person. If you have a career advisor, then they will email the name, the company, the position applied, and the resume. If not, then you email your name, the company that you're interested in, the company that you applied for the position, and your resume, and we will forward that to the business. Here are some businesses that are currently accepting applications that we have verified, the business team has. One is Aldi's. You see there's 4 positions there. Amada has 2 positions available. The Compass Group has 10 positions for floor techs. CVS Health has those positions there, 3 positions available. Fastmart has 3 or 4 positions available. So go ahead and take a picture of that. If you don't take a picture, your career advisor has this information. All right, we're going to move to the next one. Food Lion, warehouse selectors. This is for their warehouse. Warehouse out in, can't think of where it's at right now, but Disputanta. Thank you, boy.
Yeah.
Got some jobs with Greenleaf Medical Cannabis. You want to email that person there. Virginia Hiring. Make sure you don't just email a resume. Make sure you put cultivation laborers and you write an email. I'm interested in being a cultivation laborer, blase, blase. My name is so-and-so, so-and-so, and include your resume. All he's been getting is resumes, not from our people, but just emails in particular. Make sure you do that. I got one the other day, and I had to email back and forth 2 or 3 times to figure out what company. All I got was a resume, and it didn't say anything else. So make sure people don't know what you're sending, especially the business team. We send out a lot of jobs. There's 15 jobs here that we've sent out. If you're sending a resume to us, we have no idea what it's for. The health force there has 3 positions. Integrity Staffing, which is Amazon basically, has 3 positions. Kroger has 5 positions there, and that is the Kroger. I didn't put this down, but it's most Krogers are hiring, but the one that we're specifically looking at is the one on Midlothian Turnpike, 710 Price Way. All right, I'm going to go ahead and give you a minute to take a picture there. We're going to move to the next slide. So we got jobs with Lowe's. Lowe's has about 5, or actually they have a lot more than this. Is a condensed list here because a lot of these jobs, I think he gave us a list of like 18 or 19 or something like that. But there's a lot of positions over their stores. Publix is looking for a lot of folks. Surge, giving a shout out to Boyd, who'll have a session tomorrow at this time with Surge. You can go out and get warehouse jobs with them. The Walmart on Sheila Lane, we've sent probably about 8 or so people to her for cashiers and stockers. And then the Wegmans, Midlothian Turnpike, they have, let's see, 4, 5 positions, 6 positions there. Any of these positions, like I said, make sure you go to the website, apply online, do the application, do the survey, do the profile, contact your career advisor, then email them the name of the company that you're interested in, when you applied, what you applied for, and a copy of your resume. Any questions or any comments on any of the jobs that I shared? Remember to hit *6 if you want to unmute your line. If you're on the phone, if you're on the computer, you can hover over and then you can unmute your line that way.
So John, I have another question just based on what you just shared.
Sure.
So we have a couple of those. I know that we have, like you mentioned, Surge tomorrow, at 2:15. Do we have other out of that list that are currently now scheduled to do these virtual recruitments?
There's another session coming up with the health force.
Okay.
I think I saw Lori set one of those up, and I am in the process of getting Amada to sign up for one.
Mhm.
And then I think, Boyd, you have Lowe's coming out on, you're going to do a session on the 7th.
The 7th, yes, yes.
Yeah, and then you have Surge tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we have a few of those that are going to be lined up for sessions like this where you'll be able to talk and ask questions around those. So Surge tomorrow, Lowe's next week. I believe Health Force is coming up next week as well. And then I'm working on Amada, so be looking for those.
Okay.
Any other questions about any jobs or anything that we explained on this presentation? Going once, going twice, 3 times a lady.
Yep. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. This was very well done, my brother.
Oh, no problem, no problem. And if you want some other sessions, that's Patrick. How you doing, buddy?
Hey,
We got some other sessions coming up. Basically, if you look at we got sessions in the morning, sessions in the evening. 10:15 is our morning sessions, 2:15 our afternoon sessions. We got an interview one tomorrow at 10:15. Boyd is going to be doing the surge staffing at 2:15. We got community resources on Thursday. Lori's going to be doing some LinkedIn. Perfect time right now to do LinkedIn while you're home. Do your resume, get some interviewing skills. Then on Friday morning, 5 tips for emerging businesses at 10:15, and then Mayor's Youth Academy will be on at 2:15. So that schedule will be pretty much going forward. I've been told. Look for changes. We always have changes around here. If you work for the city, you expect change.
Yep.
And if you need to get in touch with any of the business team, here are all of our faces there. Here's our information.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, John.
Yeah, I wanted to put your mugs out there too. I'm not doing this in a silo. I have partners that are out there helping me out. Boyd, as you heard from today, and Lori's on the call as well. Patrick, and I'm sure others from the Office of Community Wealth Building. We couldn't do this without one of another, spokes on the wheel and all that good stuff. I appreciate you guys being here, and hopefully this session answered some of the stuff that you guys needed. If you have any questions, I can stick around for some questions or comments. If not, we'll end the session here in a few minutes.
Got a quiet group today.
I know, it was quiet earlier too. It was quiet earlier.
You did a great job, John.
Oh, thank you. I was nervous.
No way.